Hey, Slay Nation, it's your host back with another episode of the So She Slays podcast. I cannot even tell you how excited I am to have Shaque'l in the studio. You know her as a six-figure chick. I have been following her. Everybody at So She Slays has been following her for a hot second. We just love your energy. We love what you have to say. Like, it's so real. It's so honest. And anybody who's looking for jobs right now, anybody who's wanting to make a transition, level up, anything like that, like this is the episode for you because we're going to deep dive. We're going to kind of get into the hot takes right now. But before we do that, tell us a little about yourself. Give us a little spiel. How did we end up here?
Yeah. For sure. I'll jump into all the things. One, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. One of my coworkers is a part of your organization. And so I remember seeing, I was like, oh my God, yeah, I follow this page and they're so dope. And she was like, yeah, I like co-run that. And I was like, what? So I am so excited to be here. This has been a few years in the making, so I'm very excited about it. But to introduce myself to everyone, what's good? What's happening? My name is Shaque'l. I'm better known as your favorite six-figure chick. And myself and my team, we help people transition careers, scale the corporate ladder, and land six-figure paying jobs. That all sounds really fun and fine and dandy, but what does it really mean? I started this business from the journey that I took. So in 2020, was it 2020? Goodness gracious. In 2020, the time just flows. But in 2020, I left a job over $5,000. They would not give me a $5,000 raise, even though they were moving me into a title
Actual
of leadership.
promotion?
So they were giving me
so like more work, no pay.
Promotion? Yeah. Absolutely. The money was not there. And so I quit in a fit of frustration. But I had a really great LinkedIn. So a Google recruiter found me. I took my job at Google, which was great, gave me the money that I wanted. But a few months into that, I realized I didn't love that either. I was having a really hard time. And I mostly think that this was like pandemic, everything that was going on at that time frame more than Google. But I, again, quit in a fit of frustration, which I know most people do. So I always tell people, I'm like, I've been where you've been. So I quit in another fit of frustration. And then I couldn't find a job. Like, it had always been so easy for me, but then it took me months and I was applying and I wasn't getting it. I was interviewing, going to final rounds, never making it through. But in 8 months' time, between March and December of 2020, I went from making about $50,000 to making over $150,000 by identifying my singular professional brand, by optimizing my LinkedIn, and by being active on LinkedIn. People found me. I actually did not have to apply to the jobs that I got that entire year. Fun fact. Any of the things I didn't work out. So that was the start of this journey. That was my story, my claim to fame. And I've leveraged what I learned through doing that, as well as what I've learned working with clients over the last 3 years to
I mean, and badass you are. Badass you are, because I definitely feel like a lot of people have benefited from the information that you share. So another reason why we wanted to get you on the dang podcast. So you've already mentioned like LinkedIn and how much of a major player that kind of was for you. So let's talk about this a little bit more, because I think people are like, oh, LinkedIn. Okay, so I post here and there. Like, I find jobs there. Like, they don't, I mean, LinkedIn, a lot of people, you either know how to use it for your benefit or you just like don't. And there's like no middle ground.
You don't.
And Chauncey and I have definitely made it like our mission this year. We're like, hey, we should really like do this. Like, we should do this
on LinkedIn.
So I want to ask you about LinkedIn optimization. You talk about it so much. So let's dig in. What is it? How do we know who's have it?
Yeah. So LinkedIn optimization. How do you know if you have it? If you go to your LinkedIn and does your LinkedIn, do you clearly know what your next goal is? Do you clearly know what you want to do when you look at it? If you put it in front of your mother and said, hey, mama, could you look at this real quick? What do you think I do? Like, what do you think I did? I think of all of like the TikToks where it's like, legit, I don't know what my best friend does, but she's great. Like, I think of it like kind of like that. Like, I have no clue what she does. And so your LinkedIn should clearly define either what you do or what you want to do. And it actually can't do both. So that's the other fun fact is optimization. I need you to have one singular brand. If not, you sound like, and I tell people this all the time, imagine you go to a dentist. But when you're at the dentist office, he's like, hey, you know what? I actually can do cornrows. And on top of that, I know how to do taxes. And on top of that, it's like, I don't know if I want you digging around in my mouth. Like, I don't know if I trust you to be good at this thing because you're saying you can do all of these things. And so a lot of people try to say, I currently work in customer service, but I'm an aspiring project manager. I don't give a fuck what you're aspiring to. I'm not going to hire an aspiring. The amount of money, right, that people want to make is not money that you can be in the aspiring phase. You need to be presenting yourself as the expert. And so optimization is all about one singular brand, making things very, very clear. I should be able to look at your LinkedIn and in about 3 seconds, know exactly what role you would fit for if I were hiring for
Okay, so now I'm sure you've got this question before, because now I'm speaking. I feel like I have the privilege of asking you all the many of questions that everybody has like asked me before, and I'm like I'm an expert in this. I don't have any. This is not my jam. But I have people who say they want to switch careers, right? They're not coming from, a place that they want to continue to be. And then I also have people who are like, well, I freelanced for the last 5 years. I've done everything from social media to, work behind the camera to customer service consulting. Like, I've done it all. So what do we do in those situations?
Yes. Absolutely. So this is where the singular brand comes into play, right? So let's say, again, I'll use project management as the example. If I wanted to be a project manager, but I had a background for the last 5 years, I've been doing the different freelance work. When I am doing that work for social media, what are the project management tasks that I've been working on within doing that role? When I've been doing the freelance for being behind the camera, how am I managing the project that I am getting the content of? When I'm doing customer service, and customer service isn't nearly as like easy of one to like pluck project management from. But when we think about what project management is at the end of the day, is identifying whatever the project is going to be, identifying the key players that are going to make that project happen, keeping the project on schedule, and ensuring that everybody has everything that they need in order to be successful in this project. When have you done that for any of your clients, your customers, your constituents? I don't give a damn who it is. When have you done those things? And those are the things that you're going to highlight on your resume and eventually, nonetheless, on your LinkedIn, because your LinkedIn and your resume are essentially the same documents. I always tell people to do their resume first because it's private. Like your LinkedIn, everybody can see it. So I say update your resume first, get that together first, then just copy paste everything over here. But those are the bullet points you're going to use. Those are the things that you're going to talk about. And if the world is confusing, so for people who are transitioning, who have never done the thing before, I always suggest, this is where I like certifications. So I don't believe in certifications to actually, I've been in a hiring position quite a few times, and I have never been like, you know what? That person has a customer service certification. Let me hire them over the other one. Nobody actually gives a shit about certifications, like unless they're industry standards, right? So I suggest to use certifications for learning verbiage, for learning the role, for learning what to expect in an interview. So you can go use like Coursera via Google. I know that they're like search. You can get those certs for free more often than not. Go through that entire process and you're going to learn how to speak the language of a project manager. So when you get into an interview or when you start thinking about what you were doing in your previous role, you can pluck out the things that are important to being a project manager instead of the regular tasks you did on a day-to-day basis that you would
smart. So freaking smart. Okay. So it's just like, okay, so then I have to ask, like, there's so much I want to ask you. So I'm going to try and like, we're going to try and squish it in. I'm gonna try to be concise over here. So I also know, just watching your stuff, there's a little bit of like a formula that you follow for LinkedIn optimization. Let's like briefly touch on that so that people can kind of, we'll try to push them back to your content so they can actually like get the whole shebang.
I need y'all to come here. Yeah. So we have a few different frameworks, but the main one that we follow is ASAP. And the reason why I wanted to title it ASAP is because most people want jobs ASAP. And I'm like, great. If you do, this is what I need you to do. So step 1 is actionable discovery. This is taking inventory of everything you do. What do you currently do? What did you do in your last job? I like to, and I'll give you all this little piece of homework to do. I like to tell people to take a skill inventory. What most people do is they just write down all the things they do on, like they write down what is
Yes.
in their job description, if that makes any sense. But I want you to write down every single thing you do. If you helped train that one time, if you be doing refunds or chargebacks or whatever, maybe write down every single thing you do in this current job. And if it's not a long list, let's write down a couple more jobs as well. And then we have to figure out what your North Star skill is. So we do that by circling what you do well and highlighting what you really like to do. Circle what you do well, highlight what you really like to do. And what we're looking for is overlap. If we find overlap, that is the that's the moneymaker, right? I'm good at sales. I can do sales very well. I don't necessarily love to do sales, so I wouldn't per se pick up a job in sales.
Yeah.
I am good at education, like facilitating, and I really love to facilitate. That is my sweet spot. And that's the thing. Doing stuff like this, hosting webinars, doing in-person workshops, that is what I really find joy in. And so I could do that work, and it's like the whole never work a day in my life kind of bullshit. So figuring out what that North Star skill is, that's your actionable discovery. And then we've got S. So this is skill empowerment. This is where we figure out, once we in actionable discovery, we know what our North Star skills are. We figure out what job we want to do. You can use ChatGPT. You can use anything. Literally be like, these are my North Star skills. What are roles in tech or in corporate that would pay me at least $75,000 for these skills? It will give you options. So you get into your skill empowerment. Do you need to close any skill gaps? If you want to be a project manager, I suggest you take that Google via Coursera project management certification, so that way you can learn a little bit. Once we get our skill empowerment done, we feel good about interviews. We can do, this is that whole part. Get your interviews together. And then we have, what are we on? A? There it is. So the next thing up is that we're going to have our authentic branding. This is your resume and your LinkedIn. I just want to make it really clear that resume and LinkedIn is the third thing we're doing.
You got to know where you're going.
I always like, you have to know where you're going. I when I do workshops all the time, I'll tell people, I'm like, so talk to me about what do you do when you want a new job? And immediately people are like, I update my resume. And I'm like, great. Update your resume with what? With what? What are you putting on there? What are you saying? Who are you talking to? What information on your resume? So you have to know what your skills are first, what job is going to pay you for those skills, close any gaps that you might need. And that's an ongoing thing, right? You might be taking an interview, so you might, whatever, close any gaps you made. Then you do your resume, because the same way like your LinkedIn is optimized for one job, your resume is optimized for one job. When I look at it, I should immediately know in like 3 seconds, this person is a project manager. This person is a CSM. This person is a data analyst. Immediately. It shouldn't take me reading somewhere into a cover letter about how you wanted to transition. I don't give a fuck about none of that. Recruiters don't give a fuck. They're not going to read it. You're wasting your time. So we update then, and then we get into our power connection. So that's the last part of the framework. Power connections is all things LinkedIn. Your LinkedIn is just your resume. That really is all it is. You're going to quite literally, your headline on your LinkedIn is going to be your job title that you titled your resume with. Your about me on your LinkedIn is going to be your professional summary. Your jobs over here are going to be your jobs over here. Your bullet points are going to be your bullet points. It all goes straight down the page. It's very, very simple. But then you've got to actually do some
This
work.
is going to be my next question with the networking. Because people are like, I don't know what you mean by that.
Yeah.
How do I do that?
Yeah, networking is frustrating for a lot of people, but I think it's because we think of networking in like the old stuffy way, right? We think of like our mama's networking events,
with
like
your business card,
and, like go in, talk to a guy named Bob, like yeah, like oh my god, having conversations about things that you don't care about, they don't care about, but we all have to talk about them. And networking really is just finding some point of connection with another person. So I do online or in-person networking. I don't care how you want to do it, but I tell people all the time, I'm actually an introverted person. I talk a lot, so people don't believe that information, but I'm a very introverted person. So when I go, especially to in-person networking events, I do things that make people come up to me. I wear certain glasses. My nails always look like what they look like. I wear certain clothes because I know someone will come up and be like, oh my God, I love your glasses. Now we've got a conversation started. So I'm like, oh, do you wear glasses too? You got contacts on tonight? Not you not trying to be a part of the blind baddie brigade tonight. Like anything like that. And then you just start a conversation. It really is. And it's networking is conversing before you need something. You can't wait until you need something to reach out to someone, then it feels really transactional. And we don't like it when people do it to us, right? Like imagine somebody comes in your DMs right now and is like, hey, I need you
I
to
don't
do this
know
thing for me
you.
by 5 o'clock tomorrow.
I
And it's
don't
like,
know
bitch, I don't even know you. Who are you? Who are you? But if this is a good girlfriend of yours and she's like, oh my God, I really need help,
you.
blah, blah, blah. Can you do this thing for me by tomorrow? You're like, absolutely. I will figure this out. I will do whatever. So we want to build the relationships and we want to talk and we want to engage with people before we need whatever it is that we need from them. And LinkedIn's just a really good place for that because you don't actually have to leave your house. And so, find points of connections. It can be anything. My background is in psychology, even
That's
though
a
I work
very
in
useful
sales and
tool.
marketing
That is a
and
very
all sorts of
useful
other things. My
tool.
background is in psychology. It is. It's very but I tell people all the time, people like people who are like them because
Mm.
people like to like talk about themselves. They like to think about themselves. When we find kinship in others, similarities in others, one of my girlfriends makes fun of me because I'll tell her, I'm like, man, I saw this girl today and she was so fine. And she's like, what does she look like? And I describe the person and she's like,
You're like,
so
well, I
you,
mean, not to
bitch? Like
toot my
she's
own
like, she
horn,
looks like
but toot.
I mean, I'm like, she's small, she bald headed, she got these big hoops on, and she's like, so
Yes.
yourself. You like her because she looks like you. So it's an easy way. It's an easy way to make connections. So I might see someone on LinkedIn, and if I see that they have tattoos in like any of their content, I have tattoos. Is the only way you can see now, but I have a whole sleeve. And so I'll send a DM, be like, yo, like love to see other tatted baddies in the tech industry or in the corporate industry. Like it's so dope that you're out here, you're being your authentic self. I just wanted to shoot you a connection request. Hey, I see that you, man, those glasses are super fly. Where do you get them from? I be getting mine from this place. Like I eat that simple stuff is all it really takes. It could be somebody posted a picture of their dog and y'all have the same dog. It could be that somebody went to the same school as you. Networking is not stuffy if you don't make it stuffy. Imagine going to Sunday brunch. You see a table of pretty girls. You want to go be friends with them. They baddies, y'all baddies.
It's,
Y'all gonna go. And I
I
know
mean,
I'm
like men
speaking so
too,
much
but
to
like,
women right now.
look,
Men,
that's
you
my audience.
get
That's our audience. So
everybody. Just everybody. Every time I'm like 6-figure chick, and they're like, do you work with men? I'm like, chick is gender neutral. Like, dude, y'all have gotten the win of gender neutrality so far. We're gonna take this one. But no, networking is easy. That is really networking made simple. And that's the way that I explain it to my clients. It's the way I explain it to my community. Find a point of connection and connect like hell on whatever that thing is and just build that muscle of talking to people when you don't need something, so that way when you do need something you're not nervous, you're not scared, and you've already started to have a conversation.
Let's pivot. We're still in the LinkedIn world, but I know we talked about networking and all that kind of stuff, but LinkedIn often is used for job posting, right? And where people go to apply for jobs. I got a two-pronged question here. Is that something that people should be doing, applying on LinkedIn to jobs? And how do they know that it's not like a ghost job, that, you know, people be posting it for the sake of posting?
Yeah. The fakes. So a couple of things. One, I always would prefer that you apply directly on the job site than you apply anywhere else. Using LinkedIn to find the jobs, no problem. If you want to go to LinkedIn jobs, same way you would go to Indeed or whatever else you're using, that's fine by me. Just go directly to their site though and apply. I'm not a fan of easy applies, just because something about it feels like it goes into a trash can. I can't confirm that it goes into a trash can, but I don't like it. I'm going to tell you to go to direct to their site every single time, but use it to find the jobs for you. Then go to their site. But the other thing, when we're talking about ghost jobs, the way in which I would suggest to use LinkedIn is not looking at the job board itself. This is still in the connections with folks. So I used to work at TikTok. And when I worked at TikTok, every week when we have our company-wide all hands, we would get, what do they call them? Like hot jobs or something like that. They would give us like 2-3 jobs that they were hiring for that was really important to like get somebody in quickly. And they would share it with us. And then they would ask us to go share it on our LinkedIn. And that is the way in which I want people to find jobs more often than not. Over like 80% of jobs never make it to an outside job board. LinkedIn is still an outside job board. So you are going to need to make the connections with folks so that way you can see when they're posting those jobs. You're going to need to make the connections with folks so they give you a referral to those jobs. And when it comes to ghost jobs, I think of the things that are just randomly posted on the site, and they may be there for a multitude of reasons. This might be that they're making a public post because they have an internal candidate, but legally they have to put it out to the public for like 3 days or something like that. So it may be that. It may be that they need to prove they're hiring for funding, but they're really not. There's so many reasons why they might put a job up that's not actually real. But what I want like y'all to focus on, instead of worrying about is this a fake or is it not, is how can I get a connection? How can I get that person to introduce me to a hiring manager? How can I get that person to give me a referral instead of is this real or is this fake? And like, is this real or is this fake from a real company? Please don't. I'm not talking about the people who are trying to scam you. That is different. That's a totally different conversation. But is this a real job that they are hiring for, that they're going to need someone to be filled? And I always ask questions about timelines. And if they do not stick to their timeline, I'm good. I don't need this shit. So I'm going to ask off rip when I speak to a recruiter, what is the timeline for hiring? And then I'm going to ask every single person that I talk to, what's the timeline for hiring? So I can see if I'm getting consistent answers across the board. But yeah, jobs don't make it to job boards. So many jobs never, ever make it to a job board. So unless you have a company that you're like paying a lot of attention to, like I love Affirm. Them people have some of the best benefits I've ever seen in my life. This is not bad. Oh my God. Best benefits, crazy fucking pay, remote, like it has all the things. So I am constantly watching Affirm's job board for my clients. I'm like, oh, like this is the kind of company I want my clients to be able to work for. And so unless you have like, these are my 5 companies, I'm always staring at their job board, you're going to miss over 70% of the jobs.
Okay. And the only way you get it is like, you just got to make a connection somewhere.
Make connections and follow. This is where people on LinkedIn often are like, I need to be connected with recruiters. I actually don't give a fuck about you connecting with recruiters. They're the lowest person on my totem pole of people because you're likely following the wrong recruiter. Like you're trying to get a job as a project manager and you're following a technical recruiter. Technical recruiters are hiring for engineers. They can't help you. Like they can't. They're never going to respond to your DM about being them because that's not what they hire for. So people are likely following the wrong recruiters, but this is an opportunity where I would say, again, following, not connecting. So there's a feature on LinkedIn. There's 2 options. You can connect with someone. And I always think of connection is a person you have a connection with, whether that's, again, school, glasses, tattoos, whatever, connection. Follow is I want to see their content. Recruiters are kind of the people where you want to see their content. You don't necessarily need to be connected to them all the time because they're not only going to share their own jobs, they're going to share jobs of other recruiters within the organization. They're going to share jobs of other recruiters within their network that's saying they're hiring, and they're going to say, hey, if anybody in my network can fit into this. So these are the ways in which I would prefer people identify job opportunities rather than like every Monday I'll go to LinkedIn and to Google and like look for jobs. Like, I guess. Okay.
Okay, so we've definitely hit on the topic, like it's the networking, that's where it's at. It's the connection, that's where it's at. You definitely have to invest. So if you're going to invest some time in LinkedIn, in the jobs, in it's the invest in the connections.
And you're going to invest it either way. I know that somebody might be listening to this or watching this and be like, I don't have time to add that on top of everything else I'm doing. And I challenge whoever thinks that to time track. As a business owner, I'm always telling my employees, like, track your time. Let me see how long it actually took you to do this thing. So like time track when you start doing job search activities, and you will see, like, I know it because I look for jobs to post all the time when we have job of the day posts or for our private job board that we have. I am in the same trenches that y'all are trying to find these jobs and trying to find them for like hundreds or sometimes hundreds of thousands of people, not just one. And so it will take you the same amount of time. If you dedicate 30 minutes a day, 3 days a week to LinkedIn, you will have a better outcome than you investing an hour a day, 5 days a week to applying to jobs online. That is, it's proven. It is a thing. This is exactly what my clients do. I do not have my clients go scour job boards. I think that is the absolute waste of time. You're going to spend time anyways. I'm not asking you to spend more time. I'm asking you to swap out what you're doing with your time and make the time that you're spending more impactful instead of you just fucking blind applying to 100 jobs. People love to do that. How many jobs a day should I apply to? I don't fucking know.
That also
don't
seems
care.
like a lot of freaking work. I'm not going to lie.
I don't want to
like
any
freaking, that seems like a lot. So I much rather just socialize in the comments and make friends.
That's it. all I'm asking. Getting
Oh my
little comments, whatever. You're
goodness.
gonna be on social media anyways.
Yeah,
You're on
I mean, just
Facebook,
like
you're
to
on
apply the
TikTok,
same
you're on
thing to
whatever. Like,
LinkedIn, with a tad more, probably professionalism.
absolutely. Absolutely. Your phone, I have like if for everybody with the iPhones, they send you
Oh, right,
the like
yeah.
hours a day you spent on like your phone. My shit is like 9 hours. And to be very clear, like my business is on social media, so I whatever. But it's like you average like 9 hours, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, y'all could definitely
Yeah,
be
like
on
it's
LinkedIn. I
possible.
based off
It's
my
a
own
thing.
research,
I've
you
done
can get
it.
your ass on LinkedIn.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I have this last question for you, and it's a big one in the fact where it's like I feel
Yeah.
like this is
Okay.
we're of the generation where we're just realizing like, hey, I ain't about this burnout bullshit. Like, I'm just not it. Like, you're not my
Don't
life.
want it.
You're a
Don't
paycheck. So my thing is like, how do I get a job that pays well, but
Mhm.
I'm not doing the most in it? Like, I'm
Mhm.
not sacrificing my life for it.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. This is a part of actionable discovery for me and for my clients. Um, when you figure out what your like 2, 3 North Star skills are, and you go and you ask some sort of again AI what role you should do, and it spits out 2 or 3 options to you, this is where like research comes into play. Go look that shit up. You have TikTok. Everybody loves to do a day in the life. Everybody loves to be like day in the life of me as a whatever. Go look up what the day in the life looks like. I tell people all the time, like you got to make sure that your desires
Mm.
align with like the reality of the situation, because you can't will a job to be something that it isn't. You can't will a role to pay more than what it's going to pay. So if it tells you to be, a customer service agent, and you're like, but I want to make
Yep.
$100,000, not aligned. You just skip over that job. It's going to have to be another one. If you want to make $300,000, you're probably have to be in sales. I'm telling you right now, this is like these are your choices, really. So it really depends on like where your goals are. And I try to remind people that money is great. And I say this as a motherfucker with money. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. Money is great, but I have quit jobs that are paying me $10,000 cash after taxes, after benefits, after everything is pulled out. I'm receiving $10,000 a
Mhm.
month in a paycheck. And I have quit with like no plan because I was not being served well. My mental health was not doing well. So like, I want people to think of all of those things. Like you mentioned, that burnout, like, hey, I'm not trying to be burnt out and I want to make as much money as I possibly can. Find out what your numbers are. If you know your numbers, then you don't have to guess. So what do you
Mhm.
currently spend on life? What's your current annual spend? And it needs to be a real number that you figure out by going and looking at bank statements. Please do not guess. Don't yes, my mom. So I retired my mother a few years back, and I was like, "Cool, like tell me what your expenses are." And she gave me a number. I was like, "All right, bet." And then I finally looked
Yeah.
at the sheet because I was like, "It's none of my business what you spent your money on." Like, here's the money. I look at the fucking sheet though. She done wrote down
Okay.
$400 for groceries. Keep in mind, my mom, my baby brother who's been in the 99th percentile for height and weight since he was born. My brother today is 10 years old. He stands 5 feet tall and weighs 140 pounds. You're not $400 a month
No.
in total. I spend
No.
like $400 a week. I feel like on groceries. So it's like your numbers are off. So all of that to say, actual numbers. Write down the math. Right? Boom. Then I want you to pick 1 to 2 goals depending on how big the goals are. So if the goal is like buying a new car, that's a pretty big goal. We're probably going to let it just be that one. That's like a $30,000 goal. If the goal is take my kids to Disney and that costs 10 grand, you could probably have 2 of them. But identify 2 goals, add that to that number. This is your goal lifestyle spend. So let's say we started at 75K. Your goal is going to add 10,000 to it. We're now at 85. I want you looking for jobs that
Mm.
pay you at least $95,000 because I want to give you a little bit of wiggle room. So now you know how much money you need to make. People hear 6-figure jobs and they're like, I need 6 figures. And when you look at the numbers, it's like, baby, you need like $55,000 a year to live very
You'd be
comfortably. So let
great.
me get you like a $75,000 job. You'll think you're rich. Like, so like you're over here going after software engineering and you didn't need to because you don't actually need that much money. So I want people to actually figure out what their real numbers are. Figure out what's important to you. So is it getting off of work at a certain time? Is it work-life balance? Is it that there are Black people or people of color on your leadership teams? Is it whatever those things are? And then that's going to help you then identify companies that align with those goals, right? So this is what organizations, like I take pride as an organization that like I have an all female or femme presenting staff. I wasn't on purpose, just was what it was. I'm not even part of the hiring process till we get to the end. So I promise it wasn't me. My staff is also all Black or POC. It is working that way, but it is something that I take a lot of pride in. And so someone might see my company and say, hey, I want to work there because they prioritize Black people, people of color, Indigenous folks. And it's like, and we do, they prioritize women. They ensure that women are empowered to get like the outcomes that they want. Shaque'l practices what she preaches. She pays her team in the same way that she tells like her clients to go out and look. So like, then you can identify companies that align with what your goals are and the amount of money that you want to make. I have done 2020, I did the same job at each three companies I worked at. I made $50,000 at the first company. I made $68,000 at the second company, and I made $150,000 at the third company. Same job title. The companies just paid more money. Different companies paid different salary ranges. So once you figure out what that number is, then you got to start identifying companies. And this is just going to take research. It doesn't always have to be, what is it, Mang? I think they call it now for Meta, but Mang, it doesn't always have to be the big, big four or something like that. But start doing your research. Look into what their initiatives are. Homelessness is something that's really important to me. It's one of my big philanthropic goals. When I am a multimillionaire, that will be something that I invest a lot of my money into, in a way in which I give back to my community. And so I would always look for organizations that are doing some sort of that work already, because I know I'll take pride in that. I know I'll have opportunities to go support and work. And when they're like, hey, who wants to volunteer? It's not me volunteering to go to a fucking rally for a person that maybe I don't believe in. It's instead we get to folks, and do things like that and make a difference in their lives. So it's going to take some research, but I need you to do each one of those steps. Figure out your numbers, figure out what's actually important to you as an employee, because both of those things are important, not just one or the other. You need to be paid well, but you also need to enjoy the work that you do and the company with which you keep. And then start researching the organizations that are going to best align with those. And those are make your top 5. Go start connecting with people from those organizations. Be in those DMs. Ask for those referrals. Show up to their events when they're doing them. This is how you get visibility and you get seen and you get plucked for roles, or jobs get created for you that didn't even exist because they see the value in having you there. And
no, that was great.
That team. That was
honestly, this is what I would love for you to do, because I always love to leave our audience with a little bit of like an action item or something to like ponder over. Yeah. Can you just quickly go through the steps in like landing a job that pays you well but won't suck your soul out again?
I got you. Let me run through these quickly. Identify your current spend. Make sure it's the actual number. Use a bank statement to make sure it's the actual number. Identify a goal that you want to add to that. I would range somewhere between $10,000 and $30,000 a year for a goal. And then that's your goal number. I need you to add 10,000 on top of that. So that way you give yourself some wiggle and negotiation room, and you know what your salary band is, because most of y'all be negotiating from feelings instead of from facts. And we're not going to do that. That's step 1. So that's the money part. Step 2, the feelings part, the emotions part, is I want you to identify what's important to you. Are you trying to get off of work at a certain time every day? Do you want to make sure that you can leave work at work because you have a family? Do you want a company car? Do you want to work somewhere that has certain types of goals? So is this 20 days of PTO? Is this more POC folks or Black folks on their leadership teams? What things are going to truly make a difference in what your experience is by working at this organization? Identify 3, I would say 3 must-haves or nice-to-haves out of a job. That's goal number 2, right? So we got step 1, money. Step 2, nice-to-haves, must-haves. Step 3, start researching the organizations. This, you can find out the information through Built-in. You can find this information through the BBB. You can find this information through, what is the other one? Glassdoor. Go do research on different organizations. If you're like Shaque'l, what organizations? Take your ass to LinkedIn, type in any job title, and then look at all the companies that come up and start researching those companies. Identify your big 5. It doesn't have to be 5, but identify your big 5, and then you're going to start networking with those people. This is how you make networking intentional. This is how you feel like you're not throwing shit at the wall and just seeing what sticks. And that is how you're going to wind up landing a role at an organization that pays you the way you want to be paid, that has the morals and the benefits that you would like for them to have. And you didn't have to apply to 100 jobs a day every single day for 6 months.
I love it. Shaque'l, was so concise. I want to encourage everybody to please like take notes during this. I feel like we covered so much. There was a lot talked about. If you
So
have
many things.
questions, where do people find you, follow you,
So many
maybe
things.
hire you for services?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, y'all can find us always, always, always at Six Figure Chick Consulting, the number six, not the word spelled out. The website is sixfigurechickconsulting.com. We are always going to have content going up for you. We post jobs of the day 3 to 4 times a week. So we've got jobs that we're actively finding that have amazing benefits and that have amazing pay that we'll share with just our community in general. If you decide you want to work with us, that's fantastic. Once a quarter, we host a free 3-day boot camp where we go over all of this like in depth. I give you a workbook, all of the things. The next one's going to be happening in early May. So feel free to join us there. But there's always some content to consume. There's always something to learn. And if you're like, I just need y'all to do this shit for
Can
me,
y'all just do
we
it?
do that too. Just reach out to us. Send us an email. Just send us a DM. It doesn't matter, baby. We are on everything, and somebody is in every
Oh my
last one of
gosh,
those
I love
inboxes.
it so much. Thank you so much for joining the podcast. We've learned so much. I've learned so much. You're amazing. Keep doing it.
Thank you.
Keep doing it. I'm thoroughly enjoying all of the takes. So Slay Nation, like she said, go visit all the websites, all the socials. You can get a hold of her or one of her team members. I got a chance to meet Stephanie. Shout out, she's great. And I just hope that this has kind of given y'all some direction in this vast world of like, how the hell do I do this? What happens next? So hopefully this gave you some direction. And until next time, thank you so much for listening.